Mohammed, welcome back to Unlocking the Code. We just were having a quick chat about the response from last week's podcast to do with the Gosford glyphs and how there were some comments online that were taking a different direction. And you were just talking about Khufu and you thought we better put this one on the record.
Yes, exactly. Unfortunately, when you explain your own idea about something which already has some negative opinions or negative judgments, so the audience who believe in something, or they still believe that this is like fake, or they take the side of one of the groups, they still have the same judgment even without, or they try to not see your idea 100%. Like they just read the title of the video or the title of the post, and they still deny, and they still are not convinced, and they don't pay any effort just to read any details or all the details about this post. If people will listen carefully to my podcast with you last time, I was talking about the writings itself as, in my opinion, it was the last thing was done by the ancient Egyptians who visited Australia. And I said that visit is not the first, it is the last visit, in my opinion. And the relationship could be hundreds or maybe thousands of years before.
Yes.
Okay. And I said that when you are familiar, you don't need to be an expert to explain something. If you are one of the locals of the place, or one of the natives to such a story, okay, like so many of the keepers in the Egyptian sites, they don't have a university degree, they don't have master degree or PhD degree, but they have great knowledge about the site because they are there every day. Okay. Not only there every day, because they don't read books, they don't read hieroglyphics, they don't have any information about the place as a beginning of their foundation. But how they get the information? Because they are there every day, and every day they listen to visitors, tour guides, professors, teachers. So because those people keep going every day, not of course the same groups, but other groups, different groups daily, they explain something, and the guard is listening what they say. And when they hear repeated stories, so he will be more confident that this is the correct story, until he met someone with different ideas, like me as an example. And I explained to him slowly why this story is not true and why that story makes more sense. Okay, so just by being in the site every day and listening to the opinions of different tour guides and different teachers, they gathered so much information about the site. Okay, so what about a student of this history, a student of this art or this language, and he is also there all the time? Okay. So that is something very important, and people should not deny the knowledge of someone like this. I'm not talking about myself. No, I'm talking about any person in the same situation.
Absolutely.
I will give you a very clear example. I live in Giza, right? But I did tours in Aswan, Luxor, Sinai, okay? And I know those sites like my hand, okay?
Yeah.
But every time I go, I contact some of my local friends there, asking them about any updates, any changes, anything, because they are the ones who live there all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. They see,
so
they see
are
everything.
Very close to, they are very, exactly. And in a very short time, maybe the news will come to me in Giza after a day, after two, maybe after 10 hours. But the news for them It just in 1 second, 1 minute. Okay. So that is the point. So I want people, when they hear opinion against what they believe, no, read it to the end. Okay, and look to the, especially if this idea has details and have some evidences and proofs. Okay, like I told you last time that the word nefer means zero. Okay, I can challenge all the audience. If someone had a dictionary, hieroglyphic dictionary, and started to search if this information is true or false. Right? Yep. I believe that no one did that.
No, okay. No. I think Mohamed, you know, what you're talking about here is one of the, and I found this a lot. It's like when a new idea comes into play, it should be studied, it should be respectfully looked at and evaluated. But because of certain narrative, and I think you probably see this more than anyone in Egypt with the narrative that's been played out there for many centuries, if not millennia, that people are very attached. You know, they have their livelihoods attached to this. But I thought science and exploration was the study of these things. And when new information comes to light, we should be open to receiving it. Oh, you there, mate? You there, bud? Oh, you've dropped out. Give us a second, guys. Mohamed's dropped out. Remember, we are Cairo to Brisbane, and it is currently raining here in Brisbane, so I'm sure Mohamed will jump back in a second. Look, just further to what I was saying there, it's something that we've come across a lot on this podcast where a new idea is presented, but because people are so attached to their own idea, they don't actually give that new idea its due. Oh, Mohamed's back. You're back, mate.
Yes.
That's okay.
What happened? It was my connection. It was what?
Oh,
maybe the connection here.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of rain around where I am at the moment, so that's okay. We'll battle on. What I was saying before we cut out was that I think one of the issues with a lot of the studies that you do and a lot of the studies that we do down here is that it challenges the narrative, and people get so attached to what they think they know that they can't see past it to open their perspective. Whereas I think, and one of the core things that we believe here at Unlocking the Code is that there is no one really knows. So if you accept that no one really knows, then all new ideas need to be brought in and shared and looked at and evaluated correctly without bias or without opposition.
Exactly, yes. And that is the point of research or finding the truth. No one can claim he is the only one has the truth or the only one can give you the exact story. No, we are helping each other. We are. Maybe I can give you a very good story, but there is a missing part, which is an important part. Someone else can add this part to me.
Okay? Absolutely.
But, and I will tell you something. I believe in so many strange ideas, but maybe the idea of aliens is still very hard for me to believe. But I don't deny the story. When I listen to any story like this or any explanation, I listen carefully and I try to see if this can fit my ideas or my beliefs. Sometimes no, it doesn't, or most of the times. But again, I never say, no, this is completely wrong, or I will not listen anymore to such stories. No, I keep listening because who knows, maybe there is something still in my consciousness or in my beliefs not complete. That's why, as if you have a device of 3 pieces, you miss the one in the middle. So the one on the right and the one on the left will not attach together. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe the story is true, but I'm missing the middle part, or the story is not correct. But in both cases, I must read and see the details, full details of the story, listen carefully to what they say, and then I put or I add my judgment.
And I totally agree.
I know you're going to ask me about the boomerang, which is very interesting.
Yeah, the
story.
boomerang. Yeah, the boomerang. Actually,
Yes.
what I would like to do, mate, is just show you something here for a second, because I've been doing some studies since we last spoke. Can you see that there, mate?
Okay. Yes.
And basically, it says in the bottom there, as is with certain African races at the present day, the Egyptians performed a dance which the various episodes of a successful hunt were enacted. It was thought that this would ensure a successful hunt and therefore plentiful supply of food for the tribe. Every detail of the above drawing is authentic and has been taken from early Egyptian pottery. But what I see here being from Australia is I see the boomerang, and I see the cod pieces, and I see it's very, very similar to an Indigenous Australian scene, you know, which is just a fascinating piece of evidence that I've been reading about and wanted to show you, mate. So what can you tell us about the boomerang, where it was found in certain tombs and bits and pieces, was it?
Yeah, but I need a favor from you first. Send me that picture.
Absolutely, not a problem.
It will help me. And the name of the book.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay. Yeah. I saw something interesting in this picture, that the man is holding the boomerang with one hand and he's lifting his hand like this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you imagine that the same style or the same picture was drawn by the early ancient Egyptians a long time ago? Mm-hmm. That the same tribe man holding the boomerang with one hand, okay, and like lifting his hand up like this. So when I saw this, immediately I thought you are bringing an ancient Egyptian picture. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I realized when I was searching the Gosford glyphs, that the connection between Egypt and Australia is very strong in many ways. When we started to study as students at the university about ancient Egypt, they made a lecture every week for us inside the Egyptian Museum. Mm-hmm. So I was weekly, one day a week, studying inside the museum itself. Okay, so our classroom was the museum. In the first year, second year, third year, I was studying in the ground level. Mm-hmm. And the last year was in the second floor. And in the second floor, we have so many collections, but the most famous one is Tutankhamun Collection. There is a huge showcase belonging to Tutankhamun. And it has, I think, more than 20 boomerangs inside the showcase. Different styles. The regular shape, the regular shape we know, and a little bit the angle like slightly bigger, and small size, medium size, big size. It's a very wide collection for boomerangs. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I thought, so from that time, when our teacher was explaining to us the story of the boomerang, he just made a comment and he said, this is similar to the Australian boomerangs. That's it. So they didn't add much. Okay. As if it is a kind of similarity, but without connection.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
As if the Egyptian maybe like imagine that will be something to help them to hunt birds maybe, or to use it as a game. Okay? But he didn't refer to any connection or anything like this. But after graduation and started to explore the museum, the books, the scenes inside the tombs, I found that it is more than Tutankhamun one showcase. We almost have in more than 50% of our paintings and drawings and tools, boomerang sticks. They show the ancient Egyptian, either a king or a mayor or a rich man or the owner of the tomb above his reed boat on the marshes, and he is throwing the boomerang. Okay. We found hundreds of boomerangs in different tombs for royals, for rich people, and for commoners. Okay. And I can tell you that is what we call it dynastic Egypt. Okay. But guess what? I found so many stories that the boomerang, because when we started to talk about the boomerangs, and we are very confident now that Egypt and Australia must have a relationship, ancient relationship or connection. So the question was the origin of the boomerangs. Is it Egyptians and was given to the Australians, or Australians and given to the Egyptians?
It's a good question. Yeah.
The strong, yes, because now we can see it in both countries. So my strong belief was that it was Australians, and because of the Egyptian visits, so they copied or they take samples, or maybe they put the product, okay, like what we do now, we buy Chinese products, Indian products, okay. But I found so many interesting data that there are an existence to the boomerangs during, so we're talking now about around 5,000 BC.
1000 BC, okay, right.
5,000 BC, before Dynasty 1, like more than 1,500 years before Dynasty 1. It's a kind of a culture, they call it Marmata culture in Egypt. And they found in their tombs, in what we call it the funeral furniture and funeral objects, they found boomerangs.
Wow.
Maybe not in a perfect shape, but it is boomerangs. 100%. Okay. And we found in one of the tombs called and that picture is used by some people to prove that this is the Atlantean immigration from their sunken island, because there are so many boats, which is something we must talk about. Again, boats, huge size of boats.
Yes, we only just touched on boats. We only just touched on.
So we are not talking about. Say it again.
We only just touched on the boats last time, but that's something I would love to dig back into the logistics side of it. Definitely. So the boomerang. I heard in one of the podcasts you did with Cliff Dunning that you said that you thought that the boomerang was a foreign weapon. How did you come to that conclusion?
That is an ancient Egyptian word.
Yeah, right.
Okay. There is a word called tinu. Okay. Called tinu. And tinu, the explaining or the meaning say the foreign weapon. That is not me. That is the dictionary.
Okay.
But the verb or the word itself, according to Arabic language, the word tinu, it can be explained as a verb. Tana or yatni means to bend. Not straight, bending. So it is the shape of the boomerang stick. Yes.
The boomerang.
So right. That is tinu or tana. Yeah. It makes great sense, right? the shape of the ring and the name itself. Okay, so the ancient Egyptian call it the foreign weapon. So that will lead us to a very strong fact that if I just said that we have boomerangs at 5000 BC, maybe earlier. Okay? Because when you find something, we say this is the oldest, not the first.
Right. Yeah.
We found.
And most boomerangs are made from timber as well.
Some people can immediately say, yes.
So they would break down.
Immediately say, in this case, they will say the boomerangs are ancient Egyptians and was taken by the Australians. No, I don't agree with this. I can say, and here is the weird opinion, that Egypt and Australia, or let's say the Australians, one day they lived in Egypt. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
And look, the culture, yeah. You finish, mate, because I've got something to add to that. So the indigenous lived here,
yes,
and lived there hundreds of thousands of years ago because of the culture.
I will give you something exclusive.
Oh, exclusive! I like it.
Yes. Okay. I made a post a month ago about a certain rat or mice with a long tail. Okay. And I asked like my followers, do you recognize this rat or this mice? And many of them said, yes, this mice locates in many places, but it is popular in Australia. The main destination for this mice is Australia. Do you know what I'm talking about, that mice with that long tail?
Yeah, there's a number. In Australia, Mohammed, there's a number of very unique marsupials. I'd have to see the one you're talking about to understand which one. But
I will send you the picture.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
And guess what the ancient Egyptian name for this mouse?
What is it?
Bennu.
Bennu, what's that? We said that last week, didn't we? What's that?
And Bennu is the name was given to Australia.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That name rings a bell, right?
Yes.
So
as if they want to relate the mouse to Australia.
Yeah, right. So the mouse stowed away on the boat to Egypt, or the boat from Egypt had a mouse from Australia on it, or something. Isn't that interesting? I mean, and look, it's worth. Look, that is so fascinating, mate. And so 5000 BC is the oldest one we found, but boomerangs being made from timber are obviously going to break down over a period of thousands of years. So, like you say, that's the oldest one found, as opposed to the only one. It could be a lot older. I mean, where do you subscribe to the cataclysm? Do you side with the meteor impact or the solar flare? Do you think that? Do you think that Egypt, some of the megalithic structures in Egypt, existed prior to the cataclysm? What's your thoughts on that?
Look, I have two books here. Okay. The first book talks about a solar disaster. I don't know. Okay, I will find them. The first book talks about solar disaster, 10,500 BC. Okay, that for doctor called Dr. Lafayette. I wish I could find the book.
Is that and
Lafayette?
Oh, Dr. Robert Schoch was also talking about that as well.
Yeah, I will come to this, but Dr. Lafayette focused on this. Wait, give me 1 second.
Okay, that's okay. Mohammed's just off to find a book, guys. It's very interesting stuff, this. I mean, contemplate for a second that boomerangs have been found in Egypt up to 5,000 BC. And just so we understand, that's over 7,000 years ago, just so we can understand the time frame, or prior to, as Mohammed said, the first dynasty. Very interesting stuff.
So this is the first one.
Okay.
First,
Earth
Under Fire.
Under Fire. Lucky I'm recording this. Get that book. Yeah.
Good. Yes, this is the great book, and this talks about the solar effect. Okay. Mm-hmm. Not it talks about flares and kind of electromagnetic waves and so many strong and bad effects to our galaxy. Okay, and I must explain something quickly. Of course, I didn't study geology or astronomy or physics. Okay, but because of books like this and trusted scholars and doctors, mm-hmm. you can get the information. So my opinion that if you have a very advanced civilization like we do now, okay, mm-hmm. with all the electronics, just one pulse from the sun.
Yeah, that's it. It's
electromagnetic
over, yeah.
pulse will kill all. And this is an answer for any future question. How the civilization ended.
Mm.
Just one pulse from the sun.
Yeah, that's as easy as it could have been. Yeah.
Yes, and something interesting. We are not farmers. I'm not a farmer. Millions or billions of humans are. So we cannot do the necessarily work to survive. So I can say, within 5 years or maybe less, more than 50% of the globe population will die, starving.
Mm. Yeah, me and my friends have discussed that, how stuffed we would be. Like, obviously, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing now. We couldn't communicate. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't have any veggies, don't have any vegetables mm-hmm. growing in my garden. You know, like, we rely so much on the supply chain and the technology that an electromagnetic pulse or a solar flare that would hit the reset button.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a very how do you call it? Logical or very accepted reason to put an end for an advanced civilization. Mm-hmm. The second disaster happened when you read the book of Dr. Robert Schoch.
Yeah.
Okay. He talks about the cataclysm. Yeah, of course, he mentioned the sun. Mm-hmm. But here you can read more about the cataclysm, which happened 9,700 BC. So after 800 years of that solar effect.
Mm.
Okay.
I
feel that...
Yeah, that's the thing too, Mohammed, that they talk about the one that happened 12,800 years ago, but they don't talk about mm-hmm. the second one so much that happened 11,500 years ago. So one descended us into the Ice Age and one brought us out of the Ice Age. Yeah.
So I can say the first one killed almost all life on Earth. Not 100%, let's say 90%. The second one was a disaster, but as a cleansing disaster for Earth.
Yes.
Okay. So the end of the Ice Age and the melting and the water rise and all the rain. And some people, they say it was like a huge flood, maybe. Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe in many places, but Africa is always in higher ground. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of course, Egypt would be the same. Mm-hmm. And while I was writing my book, I had to study some geology. And I understood that the Mediterranean Sea in so many times was invading Cairo level. So Cairo was drowned underwater.
Yeah.
And sometimes even further south. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then retreat back to the north and then to the south. So that means that the melting the ice melting, the end of the ice age, took a long time. And I'm talking also about like not necessarily 10,000 BC, but it could be, we're talking about some other cases, or like, I forgot the word.
That's okay.
Phenomena happened millions of years ago.
Yes.
Okay. So in my opinion, so what happened at 9,700 BC, it was cleansing disaster. Yes, I know the two words are not okay together, but that is the truth.
No, I agree. I agree. Whatever happened, you know, the Earth was in an eternal winter, and whatever happened at the 9,700 mark brought us back around. It cleared the air. It cleared the air. It cleansed the whatever happened at 12,800. I sort of, after looking at the research myself, I side with maybe meteorite impact, only because of the ejecta that would have clouded the planet. But I think the other thing too, Mohammed, why can't it be more than one? You know what I mean? If there's something going on in our galaxy, and if these rocks potentially come from behind the sun, then maybe they drag a solar flare with them. You never know. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. And I'm not tied to any of those ideas. But yeah, the 11,600 definitely cleared the air. As you say, a cleansing disaster. I like that. Can I use that? That's good.
Yes, you can. Okay, here is the beauty when you can mix between different stories from different fields and different science. You just said that we are not sure what was the disaster at 10,500 BC. We don't know if just solar flare or meteorite or what. Now we can depend on the Egyptian mythology. The Egyptian mythology has the answer for this question. There is a story says Ra, the sun, or God Ra, as they call him in the story, became old, and his hair became lapis lazuli, his bones became silver, his flesh became gold. Okay. And the humans or Egyptians, it is not clear if they are talking about all the humans or just the Egyptians, are no longer respect Ra. They don't pay attention to him anymore. They don't give offerings. So he became very mad about the Egyptians or the humans. Okay? And he told his eye, which is Hathor, go and kill them, hunt them down. Those infidels. Okay.
The infidels. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Hathor said, no. I love them. They love me. I am a very nice, good goddess. My heart will not allow. She started to talk this way. So he said, okay. So he changed Hathor to be Sekhmet. So Hathor was the lovely, nice cow.
Yep.
And she became the aggressive lioness.
Yeah.
And he ordered Sekhmet, yes, attack them. Sekhmet started to attack them. Can I just 1 second? I will answer this phone.
No, that's okay, mate. Back. That's okay. That's okay. Mohammed's in the middle of organizing activities and a upcoming tour. So just must really appreciate his time and give him a
حلو خلص الاوردر وتعالي ماشي بس هو ما تجيش ماشي تمام.
I'll just mute him so he can have his conversation in peace. Oh, he's back. Just unmute yourself, mate. I just muted you just so you could. There you go, mate. I was just telling the listeners that you're organising Ramadan.
Okay, so
coming. I was just telling the listeners that you're organising Ramadan and an upcoming tour. So we really appreciate your time, mate. So Sekhmet and the infidels. Sekhmet and the infidels. Yes. That's where we were.
Exactly. So Sekhmet started to hunt down the Egyptians or the humans, okay? Because the word exactly here saying humans, but some people explain it as called remits, or yeah, remits, it means people. So we don't know, they are talking about the Egyptian people or all the peoples. So started to hunt them down, killing them, okay? And when Ra looked down and like saw this massive destruction happening by Sekhmet, he felt sad, okay? And he ordered Sekhmet, he said, okay, that's enough, stop Sekhmet. She didn't stop. She became like blind with all the blood and the fire, and she was kind of aggressive. How do you call it? Aggressivity?
Yeah, well, it's like the red mist. The red mist descended.
Aggression, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and listen carefully to that critical part. She didn't stop. So he created two figures called the chateau. Okay?
Okay.
And we understand that they mean shadow. So this is an Egyptian word, exists now in the English dictionary.
Okay, so shadow, as in shadow. Oh.
And chateau is shadow. They ran faster than Sekhmet, prepared a lake of not wine, something similar to wine. There is a kind of a red fruit used to exist in Egypt called tatura. And that fruit is like a very strong
like drugs. A bit, yeah, like
it contains like very strong liquid.
Like like a medicine
so
drug.
Sekhmet came. She thought this is blood. She started to drink, and eventually she lost conscious. And when she wake up, she became Hathor again. She changed it to Hathor.
Okay.
The nice, lovely one. Okay. And then Hathor complained, became very angry. Then Ra gave her a necklace, that big necklace for Hathor. You see it in temples. And that necklace is going to stop this changing. So anyone is going to wear this necklace will not be affected by any evil, or it's not evil, it is negative energies.
Okay. That's interesting.
So let's see who are the main characters in this story. Ra,
sun god,
Hathor, Sekhmet, right? Sun god. And who is Hathor? Everybody will say Hathor is the lovely cow, goddess of music, resonant, beer, wine. Yes, that is correct. But who is Hathor connected with the sun? Who is Hathor in compare with the sun? Hathor is the nice beam of the sun.
Yes,
the morning.
The morning sun. Yes.
Kind of, yes, that sun, when it like falls in your skin and your face, hands, you feel it is nice. You enjoy actually being under the sun. And who is Sekhmet? Also, Sekhmet has some other definition, but Sekhmet with the sun, Sekhmet is the strong ray of the sun. That heat, the heat of the sun.
Middle of the day.
The afternoon sun. Exactly. Okay. So if you now read the story from this concept, you will find that the sun changed her nice beam to the strong beam.
Yes.
Her nice energy or heat to the strong one. So that will lead us to, again, the story that the sun started to send heat waves and some of the electromagnetic rays and ultraviolet rays and so many kind of rays destroyed the atmosphere. And that's why the second part of the story, the rescue mission, it says he created the shadow. That shadow, maybe the smoke or something else, created
yeah.
kind of an umbrella, just protecting atmosphere and humans. And this is the brilliant part, in my opinion. Humans who had to hide under the ground,
yes,
to avoid the direct contact with the sun, started to go up again and to create new civilizations. So that is not the caveman story, if I can call it this way. That is not the or a forced beginning.
Because it's interesting, Mohammed. We did some research a couple of years ago now about the fact that in Turkey there's tunnel cave complexes that go down up to 8 stories, and actually, if you they think that there's actually a cave complex or an underground tunnel complex that goes all the way from the Mediterranean into Europe. Like that's how far it actually extends. And it's like, why did they do that? And the narrative is for defensive for armies. It's like, well, that's silly. As soon as you just post 2 guards at the door and everybody starves to death, that doesn't make sense. But it would make sense if they had to retreat underground, So actually, I've got a question now that we're talking about underground, because in all the things that I've studied about Egypt, all the tombs that are underground and all that sort of stuff, how did they light them? Because obviously there's not a lot of evidence of fire found, like torches found. So how could you see 50 meters below the earth without fire? And of course, the room's full of oxygen. So if you had fire in the room, the oxygen, it's going to suck the oxygen out of the air. So how did they see underground? That's a question that I don't see asked.
Look, I can tell you some famous opinions, which is all wrong. Okay, about using mirrors and like a network of mirrors.
The mirrors, yeah.
Look, let's pretend this is okay. Okay, but mirrors are going to help with a vertical or straight angle, or maybe a little bit with a bend or a curve. But when we talk about the Serapeum and Saqqara, okay, so we need, no, we don't need, the mirrors story will not be effective at all.
No. That's what I mean.
The entrance, and then we go right, and then we go left, and it's a long way inside. Okay, so they invented the story of the clean oil, like olive oil. Okay, because it will not produce soot or smoke. But as you said, we have 2 problems. And I'm talking about the time when they are digging, okay, the tunnel. Number 1, they are digging in limestone ground, and limestone is going to produce a powder like gypsum, like cement.
It's flammable.
Okay, when you smell this powder, after 2 hours, the lungs will be cemented, and this person will die.
Okay, right.
Just 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay. Number two, yes, the light. They need light, and a very good source of light. And when I say very good source, why very good source? Because when you go and look to the edges and the corners and the angles, it was made in a perfect way. So it needs someone with good sight, okay, with good tool. Because if they are using mirror, the man with the last mirror is not going to keep moving the mirror this way, right?
Yeah.
So when you look to the tunnel and the Serapeum, perfect straight line, perfect round ceiling, okay? So they must have technology. They must have, and when I say technology, it's not necessarily electricity and lamps like what we do, what we use nowadays. No, it is something mechanical maybe, or something. It could be something natural, but it is very smart, and maybe we don't know that type of technology yet.
Yes.
Okay. So And by the way, most of the people don't know how many tunnel systems we have in Egypt. They all think, or most of the people and researchers and Egyptologists, they know 10% of what we have or less. We have thousands of tunnel systems under the Egyptian land. Saqqara itself was built above hundreds of tunnel systems.
Wow.
And most of the people think it is just the Serapeum or just under the step pyramid. No, we have hundreds. And there is even some stories from the first time you think it is too much exaggerations. There is a story about a tunnel from the entrance is at Saqqara and the exit at Giza Plateau.
Wow.
Most of the people will say, no, that is too much to believe. No, it is not too much, because when you see hundreds of tunnels, if you put them in one straight tunnel, it will actually lead to Giza Plateau even further north.
Yeah, right. Because if it's
and those tunnels are not. Yes, it's network like under the step pyramid. We have a network of tunnels. Like there are 5 tunnels to the east, 5 to the west, 5 to the north, 5 to the south, and all going deep till 50 meters under the ground. 50. 50 meters under the ground.
Is that into limestone as well? Is that into limestone as well?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. The ground of Cairo is mainly limestone.
Okay.
And even if there's sandstone, it's still a hard job. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still not easy. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yes.
So okay.
Tunnels are.
Yeah, tunnel. Isn't there an? I heard tell of an underground citadel or city or something underneath Cairo, somewhere around there as well. Isn't there talk of a grand space with pillars and stuff like that? That's actually very large, but it's got pillars everywhere or obelisks. Is that true or no?
Under the ground?
Under the ground, yeah.
No, in Cairo, no. That is, they made kind of a satellite scan, I think was like 5 or 7 years ago, to an area in North Egypt.
Oh, Northern
Egypt is
okay.
wide, fertile land. We call it the Delta. Now it is for agriculture. And there is like huge layers and then big layers of mud. And that mud covered the ancient cities. So
okay.
They found a big village under the mud.
Okay.
But I don't deny that maybe Cairo have so many things still hidden under the ground. Especially the west part in Giza. We believe that there are hundreds of underground structures and what we call it tombs and temples still under the ground, under the sand. We don't have the technology yet and the funds yet to dig and to find them.
So still never been seen to this day as far as we understand it.
Yes, and because we have a list of kings, list of mayors, list of high officials. So we have so many names. We didn't find their things yet.
Okay.
Especially what we call it Old Kingdom. We found only the highlights of the Old Kingdom.
Yeah, right.
But we didn't. So you got my point. That's why we expect so many still hidden under the ground.
So okay. So you can't have a torch with limestone and gypsum because you're going to suffocate. You can't have some bloke, some dude dancing around with mirrors all the time trying to catch the light, right? So okay, so we can debunk those two theories. So what's your theory? I suppose what's the unpopular theory? And as you say, it could be like, you know, they do very interesting things with crystals, Mohammed. Maybe they could have imbued light inside a stone and have that stone on the wall, or I don't know. What? So obviously this is just you talking to us about what you think, but what's your theory on it?
Exactly. Look, if you tell Edison and his partners that we could produce electricity from a small battery, like a finger size, he won't believe you, or he will laugh at you. He will say, we have generators, we have towers, we have big factories, okay? But later we managed to produce this a small battery, AA or AAA. It can produce, and it can light a small lamp, and it can provide like a lamp for a small light for a small room. Okay? So maybe the ancient Egyptians had another or similar way, because this battery, when we explain it, what will be the way to explain this battery? What is the ingredients of this battery?
Oh, it's, yeah, I could take a guess. Like there's copper and tin, and there's some acid in there, and it's a positive and a negative charge that creates a flow, a current. Yeah.
Very good. So if you explain it as a science, what kind of science you will call this battery?
Oh.
Like, is this biology? It is chemistry, right?
Yeah, it's chemistry. You would say it's chemistry because it's the reaction between metals and acid to create charge.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we agree it is chemistry. And chemistry that word came from Kemet.
Egypt.
Exactly. So the Egyptians are the masters of chemistry. So if we can do something because of chemistry nowadays, it means that the ancient Egyptian did it a long time ago.
Yeah, okay.
Because we are just using the chemistry rules put by the ancient Egyptians. Yeah,
that's interesting. And that leads me to another. So basically, to put an end to the torch debate.
I want to add something interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Because that is very good example. So, okay, what we call I wish I. Okay. So this is what?
AA battery.
Okay, so in America, what they call it? The same.
The same, yeah.
Battery.
Yeah.
In France,
battery.
In China, in anywhere they call it battery with a different language, right? In Egypt, what we call this? We call it stone.
Stone, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And the educated people call it stone battery.
Stone battery. Because of what's inside it? Why would you call it stone? That's interesting.
That is a good question. This is also exclusive to you, my friend, because this is in our DNA, in our ancestor memories. Stones produce
power.
Energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Crystals,
so if
man.
you come to Egypt, go to any shop selling these batteries, okay, or any supermarket, just tell him, I want stone, which is like, it's a common word, like what kind of stone you want. Will be in any other country, but in Egypt, say, I want to buy one stone, he will give you this. So he will ask you a question first. He will ask you what size of a stone you want.
The stone do you need?
Or AAA. But he knows this is a stone.
That is an exclusive, man. Wow. So you guys understand that as stones produce energy. That's
yes, because it is chemistry again.
Yes.
Okay. Mohamed Egyptians know that this stone is, as an example, the limestone is carbonate calcium.
Yes.
The granite is silica, is mica, quartz, mica, feldspar, iron. So this is all chemical combination.
Mm.
So it produces energy.
So they basically manipulated. So, but yeah. So if you're asking, so you just needed 3 stones for your torch, mate. Is that basically what we're saying? Yes. Wow. That's
Okay.
yeah. And I suppose too, if you think about
so when we say
all right, you go, mate. You go.
yes, when we say that the pyramid or the obelisk can produce energy, we are not imagining. No, that is a fact. As an example, the rose granite, the Egyptian rose granite from Aswan, it is well known as radioactive stone. And I told you last time that all our devices sending and receiving has small crystal on it. Granite has many crystals on it, many quartz cells.
Yes.
So it is radioactive stone. And also when you go to any site in Egypt, like the pyramids or other places like temples, you will see something strange. You will see that the main building was built with a certain type of a stone, let's say limestone or sandstone, but let's focus on limestone. If we are building a memorial building or a tomb or a temple, it's going to be limestone and that's it, which will be more than enough. Okay. But you'll find something strange. The main building is limestone. Then some inner rooms or chambers from rose granite. And then the surrounding area from rose granite. And then another structure from basalt. And then another corner from alabaster. What is happening here? Like why they gather all these different types of stones? It means the different density, different molecular structure, different chemical substance. Okay, so it doesn't make sense unless you are creating chemical reaction.
Unless you're harnessing the energy together or something. Yeah, it has to be. They're doing it for a reason. It's not. I suppose over there they just say decorative. Is that what they say? Like, why would you move tons and tons of granite? Why would you do that? You're not going to do that because you think it looks pretty. It's going to have function.
Of course. Okay. Because the group who is working on limestone have certain knowledge and certain tools to deal with limestone. So when you deal with granite, you must have different group of workers with different tools, different techniques. And then when you deal with alabaster, means the third group, third tools, basalt. So it doesn't make sense unless it is something important and something functional.
Yes.
Not decorative.
I thought it was all just a copper chisel, Mohamed, a magical copper chisel.
Look, to be clear about this part also, that during the ancient Egyptian civilization, in the beginning, there was no iron chisel found. Okay, maybe it was used, but we didn't find any iron chisel from Old Kingdom. But starting from Middle Kingdom, we had iron was used in a wide scale. Okay, so that is a big problem for Egyptologists. How come all the stones from granite made during the Old Kingdom, how it was made? Because we can also pretend that we agree that the iron chisel can do the obelisk. Okay,
good. Magically.
By the way, if we okay, let's be practical.
Okay,
it can be done. Okay.
Yes.
Iron chisel and iron hammer.
Yeah, I have seen them with the pins. They put the pins along, and then the many pins, and then the block will split. I have seen that, so that's practical. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it can be done, but when we talk about the huge size and the perfect work, then it doesn't fit 100%.
No.
But it's still it's still a way. After like lots of work and time, you can do something with the iron chisel. But when it comes to copper chisel, no, this is impossible.
No, yes,
no
absolutely.
way. Yes. If there is a word bigger than impossible, it will be that word.
But yeah, in whatever language it is, it's that word.
Yes. Okay. So we have so many blocks and huge blocks in Giza Plateau from Old Kingdom, made from rose granite. So we don't have any explanation to our audience how they made it, how they cut from the quarry, and how they transfer it, and how they shape it, and how they make it very fine angles and surfaces. It is something our modern factories will have great challenge to produce something like this.
Yes, yes, yes. I have a friend who is a stonemason, and he has been working with stone for over 25 years. And we've had extensive discussions about the granite and how hard it is to work with granite with modern tools, let alone whatever, you know, the just the iron chisel and the copper chisel back then. Like and rose granite is harder. Is that correct, Mohamed? Rose granite's harder than your normal granite?
Yes, exactly. Because of the crystal.
Because of
it creates very strong density.
Yeah, the molecular structure is very, very tight knit. So just to finish off on the how they lit the tombs, you think it was some form of torch powered by stone? Is that what you think? Something along those lines? Yeah. Okay. Now look, that's what I thought. I just haven't had anyone like yourself to ask. You know, we discussed it at length here, but we just haven't had anyone to explain it to us. So a couple of things, mate, and then we might finish up, because I know you're a busy man. You've got things to organise, and so ships. We started on ships. We sort of ended our last conversation having a bit of a joke about how they just moved 700-ton obelisks with a bit of wood and just chucked it on the ship. Is there any record? I mean, you're there all the time. You've studied it for a long time. Is there any record of mechanical devices or not? Is it just basically they moved it from the quarry to the ship? Like, how is there any record of how they did that, or is it just that one story of the ship with the obelisk on it?
Look, okay. If we talk about in general moving stones or blocks or statues, we have very limited sources. If we talk about ships, we have only two stories. King Ones from the 5th dynasty and Hatshepsut from the 18th dynasty. Ones is showing here a boat with 2 pillars. That pillar like a papyrus plant or lotus plant, which is about 5 meters, I think from 5 to 6 meters high.
Okay.
And the obelisk of Hatshepsut about 24 meters high. Okay, so those are the only 2 mention of something like this. And then we have another example, or some few examples, that they move the block or the statue on a sledge or a sled. Okay. But you will be surprised that to know that to do this, they do drawings of like there is a famous picture for a statue in one of the tombs in south of Cairo. That statue, let's say, according to the picture, will be about 500 tons.
Yeah.
Okay. So they draw 72 people in 3 rows. It could be more. Okay.
Okay.
72 people, that is not enough, in my opinion.
It's not, no, unless they're
too much for them. Each one will have to push or drag more than 7 tons, I think.
About 7 tons, roughly. Yeah. Just doing the math in my head. Yeah.
Yes. So we think that it was a symbolic carving, because that is not the truth, because who can drag 500 tons or even 300 tons? Okay. But the main question still exists, or the question about what about step number 1, step number 2, step number 3?
Yeah.
What are step number 1? How they cut the block.
Number 1, how did they cut it? And then step number 2, how did they move it?
Number 2, how? No, not yet.
Or how do you get it out of the?
They cut this block exactly out of the groove of the bit. Yes. And when we say how they take it out, you must think about the surrounding area. There is almost no space for 10 people maximum to stand next to the block or this groove, because there are edges in each side,
yes,
or at least one side. So there is no enough space for 10 people or more than 10 people. You can have like 5 maybe, or maximum 10 people. Okay, like the obelisk. I will give you a clear example, the unfinished obelisk.
The unfinished obelisk, okay. Yes. Yep.
The location of the unfinished obelisk, let's say the left side of it, or one side, there is 0 chances for people to stand, because it is a cliff, a big cut. Okay, so there is one side completely are not going to be used.
Not available to be used. Yeah.
Yes, not this. Then of course, one person will be at the top, the pointed top, and maybe 2 or 3 at the base. What about the other side? The other side also is very high wall and very limited edge. Okay, so let's pretend to bring 30, 50 people, 30, 50 people. And that obelisk, the estimate weight is 1,200 tons.
12. Oh.
So how they're going to take it out?
Mohamed, yeah.
The third step.
Yes. I'm in logistics, Mohamed.
The third step is to take it.
When I'm in logistics, so when you see when
the quarry.
Yeah, to take it out of the quarry, exactly. When we talk about these things, Mohamed, this is my profession. My profession is moving things. I teach it now. I teach students logistics. So I've moved massive mining machines, massive switch rooms, cranes, oil rigs, all of these things. These things are big, but they're nowhere near 1,200 tons. There's not even once you get above 500 tons, just forget about it. Like, you can't do it. But they did it how many times? How many things in Egypt weigh over 500 tons? Not to mention the lintels in the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid that are, they're 70 meters long and they're 250 feet off the ground. Like, it's insane. So, yeah. So
okay. Here is a question many people didn't think about.
Okay.
And you will understand this in a very good way when you talk about your profession and logistics. When I was preparing my apartment, okay, when I was doing the walls, the tiles, okay, because I bought it with plain walls. So I was doing the floor, and because I understand the value of granite, rose granite, so I wanted to make one of the rooms completely from rose granite.
Oh,
so the man offered me at the granite factory. He told me, we're going to bring tiles 40 by 40, 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters. I told him, no, 40 by 40, we are going to bring many boxes. I want to make smaller, bigger size. So we're going to get less number of blocks, if I can call it blocks, or tiles. Okay.
Yeah.
So he told me, okay, the maximum I can do 1 meter by 50 centimeters.
Okay.
So I told him, no, I want to have like 2 meters by 1 meter. Okay. He said, no. I told him, like, why no? You have the machine, you can cut the size I want. He said, no, I'm not talking about the cutting. I'm talking about transferring.
Yeah, moving it.
In
Yeah.
every, exactly. In every step, there is a high possibility to be broken.
Right.
To vibrate, to shake.
Yes.
And also, when they arrive to the building, we're going to take it through the stairs.
So you can't get it around the corner.
Under construction to maneuver. Yes. Okay. So the man was talking from that point, how much risk it is. So imagine that the ancient Egyptian cutting this obelisk, it is not 100% risky operation. It is like 1,000,000% risky operation.
Absolutely.
They can lose it in every step. Okay.
And it's got to be a single piece, doesn't it, too?
In 1840, 1850, Giovanni Belzoni, an Italian
Yeah.
So Belzoni wanted to take the obelisk in front of Luxor Temple, one of the two.
Okay.
And Luxor Temple is just 20 meters far from the Nile, only 20 meters, just the street in between.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not talking about hundreds of miles away. I'm talking just about 20 meters. As soon, of course, that obelisk is a small obelisk. He managed to take the obelisk down, and he and the obelisk ran into the Nile and was there for more than 8 months under the water. They couldn't prevent this incident to happen.
Right.
Accident to happen.
So basically, he got it to lie.
They had to bring.
So he got it to lie down. What did he do? Did he put it on rollers and what? It just took off into the river.
Exactly. They built like a mound of sand and mud at the center, near the middle level, and with ropes they bend it down. Okay, and then over wooden construction like a sled, they took it to the river. And the wooden preparation couldn't handle the heavy weight. We're talking about almost 300 tons.
Yeah.
So it was drowned for 8 months. Some stories say 3 years, but I found that I think 3 years is too much. The recent story, it says 8 months.
Okay.
And he had to bring like 5 ships with pulleys and like an old system of cranes or basic primitive cranes to take that obelisk from under the water.
And when was this? Okay. In the 1800s? To send it
to France, they had to prepare 1840 or 1850.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So to send it to Paris, they had to build like a submarine around the obelisk. Okay. And they filled the spaces with lintel.
Yeah.
Okay. And the big ship there was like tied together that submarine with the ship. So here is the question: why they didn't load the obelisk above the ship?
Because they couldn't lift it that high.
Why they had to make it separate?
Lift it. There's no ship that could have carried that.
Could, because they could. At the time they had. No, there was a ship can do this.
Okay, yeah. So why?
Okay. Yeah, sorry to keep asking questions, but people will never forget the answer when they
no
question at the beginning.
I think it's excellent. Yeah. I think it's excellent.
Look, the boat can carry the obelisk, but they cannot fit, or let's say control the obelisk to be in one place over the top deck all the time, because there are waves, there is wind, there is, so the obelisk can just, how do you call it in English, like move, a sudden movement, okay, and it will be like a whip. Imagine a granite whip of 300 tons.
Yes.
So it's going to destroy any of the sides of the boat in less than a second. Just one kick. Yes, if I can call it this, with one kick, okay, from the top or from the base will destroy the boat. That's why they had to make it separate and dragged by the they sent it to Paris. Now it is on Concorde Square, middle of Paris. And I want you to check online that story. They had to create huge foundations of wood and wooden cranes, and they put the obelisk in a certain way, and it took them like 5 months just to put it upright. Okay, in that place was too many workers, and I'm saying too many, like I think they were exceeding 2,000 workers. We're talking about one of the small size obelisks in Egypt. I'm not talking about the giant,
not the big ones.
Okay. Yes. So if this obelisk required this great work, so how we claim that the ancient Egyptian did it with very basic tools and very basic techniques, especially the Hatshepsut obelisk, 700 tons, and the unfinished one, 1,200 tons.
So what's the biggest one? Is it the Hatshepsut one, 700? What's the biggest standing obelisk in Egypt now?
The biggest standing one is Hatshepsut, 700 tons.
700 tons.
But you will find that in many capitals in Europe, they have around 17 obelisks. Are not the how do you call it? Not the whole obelisk.
Yeah,
many are half
ones. Yeah, I've seen the half ones. Yeah.
They couldn't take the whole obelisk, so they were happy to take half of it.
So I suppose, mate, it leads me to a question. Where is the information? You know, I mean, this is the grand question, isn't it? Where, what, when, how, basically, you know, like, is there any, because as you say, there's very little information, yet there's these magnificent structures everywhere. Like, especially with Egyptians, they carved everything, they wrote a lot down. Where is it? You know, it's a good question.
Exactly. You know, in one of the tombs, they showed us how they feed birds, how they feed animals, how they make sandal. Right. They show a shoemaker making a sandal.
So that simple gesture.
They never tell us
how they build a giant, massive pyramid that's perfect beyond all measure.
They never show us. Yeah. Yes.
So
no details for how they build pyramids, how they cut stones.
So basically, Mohamed, you, like everybody else, are hoping for opening a tomb one day and having it be a library, and that tells us everything, basically.
Yes. My biggest dream.
Too, mate. Mine too. So last question, let you go. One of the things that we've talked a lot about, obviously, the post that I tagged you in this evening was the second pyramid, which still has some of the capstone on the top, right? Now the story goes that I understand is that the three pyramids were once covered in limestone. I have heard different stories that was coloured limestone, white, red, and black. it was covered in hieroglyphs. But then there was an earthquake and one of the stones got loose. And basically then those stones were then used to build Cairo. But when you start digging into that story, there isn't much evidence that I understand. Obviously, you're in Cairo, so you better answer the question. That they haven't found those capstones because they'd be very sharply angled with stepped backs on them. They wouldn't be very good building material, you would think. And didn't they have hieroglyphs on the front? I mean, that's the some of the story, you know. So where are the capstone? Where's the capstone? Or not the capstones? The
casing stone.
Casing stones, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's answer the question backwards. Okay, from the last question. So, do we have many buildings in medieval Cairo or Islamic Cairo built, and also Coptic Cairo, built by the stones of the pyramids? Yes, so many, hundreds. Okay. Hundreds of churches, hundreds of mosques. Okay. Many of these stones have hieroglyphic inscriptions. Yes, okay, but not much. It seems to be like one or two lines around the pyramids, not all of it.
Around the bottom.
Yes, exactly. Okay. One line or two lines maximum.
Okay.
Maybe not a complete line, because we have hundreds of stones taken from the pyramids, plain without writings, only few with writings. So it seems to be not big text. Okay.
Okay.
That casing stone, not as most of the people imagine, it is just a shallow surface or a layer. No, it was a big stone. But the front is smooth and with an angle. But sometimes that stone goes to 3 or 4 meters deep.
Oh, really? That big?
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can see this clear in the bent pyramid at Dahshur. Okay. Because one of the corners is we lost the stones of the corner. So when you go and look, you will see that here the angle, but it goes 4 meters into the structure.
So then that means logistically the casing stones were multiple tons as well, not just. So each stone would have been multiple tons, but
like
angled.
Thousands of tons.
Wow.
Yes, each stone, at least the smallest one will be 1.5 tons.
Up to, who knows, 10, 20, 30 tons, depending on size. Yeah.
Exactly. No, not that much. It will be from 1.5 to 4 tons.
Okay. Still, you know, you're putting them 300.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something interesting also, many people don't know that they don't place the casing stone in a perfect vertical angle. No, there's a little bit higher.
Oh, really?
So they must slide with a higher angle. Yes.
That
so when you go,
that doesn't make sense, because you'd think it would slide off, wouldn't you? Wow. Okay.
Okay. So you got my point. So you must be higher than the block to slide the block a little bit with a sloping angle.
To slot it in. Yes.
So yes, exactly. That will lead us to a very strange fact that no one can, and the story just said that an earthquake or something, so one block was taken out, so it created like a loose. No. If half of the pyramid or half of the casing stone will fall out, still solid structure, still, because it is interlocking.
Yeah,
so the last piece of the casing stone will be also interlocked with the structure.
If anything, the last piece of the casing stone would be like would be interlocked on 3 or 4 sides.
Exactly, and it would be a great challenge to take that piece out, even if it's just the last piece.
Yeah, right.
So my story that none of the Egyptians had anything to do with this story. They found the casing stone already on the ground.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And how that? Maybe because of the disaster, 10,500 BC, or the second disaster, 9,700 BC.
Something extreme happened to knock them loose.
Earthquake, the pyramid was pulsing. This is the only way to lose all the casing stones. But what happened of the second pyramid, that the casing stone at the top, okay, it seems to be not stuck in a better way, but maybe the pulsing was more at the base. Okay. And actually, when you hold something and you shake it, the vibration will be stronger at the base, not at the top.
Yes, true. Okay.
Yeah. When we come to the color of the casing stone, the Great Pyramid is entirely cased by limestone. Okay, 100% limestone. The third pyramid, entirely granite. The second pyramid, mixed. The base granite and the upper part limestone.
Okay. So you just said you cut out cut out there a minute. So the second pyramid was covered in granite, not limestone.
But the second pyramid covered in both materials. The base is granite. The base is granite, and the top is limestone.
So one of the theories that we had here, mate. Obviously, the Great Pyramid being 8-sided, not 4-sided, you know, with it being angled in. If you were then to put the casing stones, on top of that angle, that would then make that angle more pronounced, you know, more. And then obviously, if you put the capstone, which, as far as I understand, was made of gold with a giant crystal in it. That would actually reflect sunlight along the angle into the capstone and then vertical. Yeah, I mean, you go back to what Chris Dunn says. We're talking about something having function, something that it was doing something when it was in its day.
Of course, that the design is always helping the function. Okay. That's why anything in our life, you must, let's say that door hand as an example. Okay, it was designed with a certain way, so it was a little push. It creates bigger pressure and it opens the door. But if they made that hand short, so you need to press it hard and maybe it will hurt your hand. So every design is serving certain function. So the 8 sides of the pyramid is serving at least one function, could be multiple functions.
Yeah.
The first function, it will bring strength to the design. Okay. Because of the heavy weight of the blocks and the long side, which is almost 223 meters long. It will, if you make that line in inclination in the middle, that will bring strength to that side and the other side and the other side.
More interlocking, yeah.
Exactly. Maybe it helps with the direction of energies comes from Earth. Maybe it plays also, like if you look from the top, it looks like a lotus flower somehow. Okay, and that is a kind of one of the geometric magics or magical geometric solutions to absorb or to release energy. So to tell you what exactly, it is not easy, but it must, the only thing I can tell you, it helps the design to protect each other. That is the one I'm very sure about so far. But I believe that there are multiple functions to this design.
Yeah, well, mate. So, I mean, so the last question, and I know you don't, well, you wouldn't know the answer. Where's the capstone? Is and
Okay, look, let me tell you something. How we know that there was a golden capstone or maybe a crystal or something? There is a carving in Abu Sir, in a piece of a stone or a piece of a stela. It talks about moving the electrum pyramid or pyramidion, the electrum benben. That is the Egyptian word for a small pyramid or capstone. So from that carving, we got the idea that it used to be a small pyramid shape from electrum. Electrum is mix of silver and gold together.
silver and gold,
that is
yeah.
the Egyptian, yes, okay. So here's the question. The Egyptian pyramids had a separate capstone, or one day it was complete pyramid, or the angle was complete? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I'm sure that the Great Pyramid never had any capstone.
Okay. Why?
Okay. And maybe the rest of the Giza pyramid or Giza Plateau pyramids, they were plain. Maybe the second one was completed, maybe the third, but the first pyramid, Giza, the Great Pyramid, was the peak was not complete, because in my opinion, it was designed with a space at the top so it could play like a cone shape and sending the waves to that shaft under the pyramid. And there is another system will convert the operation and sending up. Okay.
So you think, so you cut out there for a second. You cut out for a second, mate. So on the top there, you think there was a cone structure that sat on there that magnified energy, basically.
No, the pyramid itself. The pyramid itself was the cone.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it must receive. But because if you make it pointed angle, there was no enough space to receive much. So it must be flat and flat top.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
How I know this, or why I love or I agree with this opinion, we found so many shrines in the Holy of the Holies of the temples. That is the most sacred part in the temple. And the top of the shrine is designed as a pyramid. Okay. You know, shrine shape, right?
Yep.
And all of them, the end of the pointed part of the shrine is not angle. It has the same style like the Great Pyramid.
So
flat top.
Interesting. Interesting. That's very interesting, mate. That's very interesting. Well, look, Mohamed, mate, I could talk to you.
I will send you a picture of. I'll send a picture of a famous shrine from Elephantine Island.
Oh, look, Elephantine Island. That's something else that I want to talk to you about. Look, mate, you've been very, very, very generous with your time. I know you're a very busy man. You've got a tour coming up. You've got Ramadan to organise. So
yes.
I really appreciate your time. I'll thank you very much, mate. And look, obviously, I know you're busy over the next month or so. However, if you have some time in that time, please, we'd love to have you back.
I will let you know. Sure.
Yeah, the episode. Just so you understand, the last week's episode is one of the most. It's spiking and it's being heard all over the planet, mate. This Humble Aussie podcast does have a global reach. Really, really appreciate your time, mate. I'll stop the record. Just hang around for a second because I just want to ask you something. But thank you very much, mate. Have you got a message for the people of Australia before we end this one?
Yes, my main message to them that they must understand that Australia is not far away from Egypt. Maybe yes, according to geography, it is far away, but the Egyptian culture and the Aboriginal culture, they were connected a long time ago. Maybe they were one body and division happened. Okay. And if I talk about the recent situations, don't be sad about the COVID-19 thing. this is the end of the cycle of dark. Call it a moon cycle from the five. This is what we're going to talk about it next time, the 5 cycles of the sun.
We didn't get to the 5 cycles. No.
We already started. Yes, we already started the cycle of light, the first cycle of light. Okay. So to the transition from darkness to light, it requires some problems, not severe, not disasters, like from light to darkness. So from light, but from darkness to light, as I call it, light disaster. Yeah. So I want to tell you that very soon, everything is going to be better and better and better.
Well, thank you very much, mate. And look, I think, so the very fact that me as an Australian is talking to you as an Egyptian, as different belief systems, different religious beliefs, but we are connecting as one, as men from across the globe. I think this is a good example of that. That's a good example of that, Mohamed. You know, I think we are all one. We are all one, and we can all find a way to respect each other and get along. And I think that's you know, when we just stay together, mate.
Yes, that is my last message. Let's stay together.
Good on you, Mohamed. Thanks very much, mate. One nation, one people. Thanks, mate. We'll talk again soon.